Welcome to Counterpoints Friday. It's been sort of an earthquake of a day, of a 24-hour period in Washington, D.C. There's so much to get to. House Republicans are announcing first what they'll be doing in a new Congress now that they have officially won back the House of Representatives with a slim margin. Nancy Pelosi announced her retirement. We have so much to get to. Ryan, you were writing your book this week.
I was. I also took a break to write a little bit for The Intercept as well. But yes, so you'll have to catch me up a little bit.
I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, don't spoil it. I heard Nancy Pelosi did something.
We're just gonna do this, and you're gonna learn about the news of the week because he was holed up in a cabin, basically.
Right. Unfortunately, the cabin had internet access, so I followed everything really closely.
I pictured you with a quill.
I wish.
Just a quill dipping it in ink on parchment. Actually, just animal hide. You had killed the animals and needed their hides for paper.
There was a wood stove, so that was fun.
That's pretty close. Well, let's start then with House Republicans.
We got James Comer here.
We've got Comer, so let's play A1, and then we're gonna break down a little bit of what he said.
We are releasing a report today that details what we have uncovered. We are also sending letters to the Biden administration officials and Biden family associates renewing our request for voluntary production of documents relevant to this investigation. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, the President of the United States, and why he lied to the American people about his knowledge and participation in his family's international business schemes. National security interests require the committee conduct investigation, and we will pursue all avenues that have long been ignored. Committee Republicans have uncovered evidence of federal crimes committed by and to the benefit of members of the president's family. These include conspiracy or defrauding the United States, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, violations of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, tax evasion, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit money laundering.
All right, so when you have a narrowly divided Congress, one of the major things that you can do, especially in a climate like this where bipartisanship is fairly hopeless, bipartisan legislation, at least on big ticket items, is fairly hopeless, is oversight. And Republicans always knew that would be the case. So they've basically been preparing an oversight agenda for the last year. And one of the big ticket oversight items they're planning to do is look into what a lot of people think of as a Hunter Biden scandal. But I think Comer in that clip was interesting. He twice said, this is not about Hunter Biden, this is about Joe Biden. That, I think, is very smart because there's plenty of evidence that Joe Biden is implicated in this. And to the extent that they are going to spend time, I know a lot of people are questioning that decision to say, are you really doing much for the country investigating Hunter Biden? Well, the President of the United States, I think, is implicated in some very serious stuff here. And so long as House Republicans emphasize that, if the media won't tell the public that this is really a Joe Biden scandal, they should emphasize that.
On its merits, I was going to call it the Hunter Biden scandal. They want to call it the Joe Biden scandal. The Hunter Biden scandal is worth investigating. It is a case of a family member trading on his name, trading on his access to power to enrich himself, and there are always questions to be asked when something like that happens. Who did you sell to? What did the person want? Did they get it? Was it illegal? Did it undermine U.S. national security? These are all important and interesting questions.
What might they still be getting?
What now? If they're still getting something, now you're all of a sudden in the realm of relevance. From a political perspective, I think this is pitching, squarely to the Republican base, and so for them to come out with their first one, like there are an enormous number of investigations they could have done, something around the pandemic.
They will be
something
doing
around
that
lab
for
leak.
sure.
Right? But the one that they put in the pole position is a signal of the one that they see as, the one that they're going to put the most energy behind. That is their top priority. Maybe could have been something about the Biden White House's role in juicing inflation, maybe something about their energy policy. They were hammering on energy policy. Exactly. The reserve is all empty. Why did Biden do this purely for political gain? Can they get emails that prove, that emptied the strategic petroleum reserve just to get a better result out of the midterms? There would be lots of these kind of broad-based things where they could try to back up the campaign themes that they ran on and try to hit people in the middle. This is more for the conservative audience. Now, I say that as somebody who actually believes that there is merit in this stuff.
Right.
But just politically speaking, it's in this cul-de-sac right now.
Yeah, and it's funny because I wish we could both sit here and say the primary audience for this is the American people, because it is relevant and germane to our politics that the President of the United States is. And just to be clear about the implications, I know that a lot of the people on the left, their eyes roll back into the back of their heads when they hear the name Tony Bobulinski. Tony Bobulinski has plenty of knowledge of Hunter Biden's business dealings.
Anti-Polish prejudice, basically.
Yes, exactly. He has plenty of knowledge of Hunter Biden's business dealings because he was involved in them, didn't really have any incentive to speak out on this, and says the 10% from the big guy that came from that laptop, from that email, was referring to Joe Biden. But that's not all the evidence we have suggesting that Joe Biden was benefiting from Hunter Biden's relationship with CEFC, among other clients of Hunter Biden. But CEFC is a Chinese energy conglomerate. He was doing business with them, presumably, while Joe Biden was vice president. He took the Air Force II to Beijing with Joe Biden while he was vice president. We know he was trading on the name. That much is clear. We know that he was inviting plenty of people to meet with Joe Biden while he was vice president, whether they were Mexican lobbyists, not lobbyists, whether they were Mexican clients, whether they were Ukrainian clients, whether they were Chinese clients. We know that this was intentional on Hunter Biden's behalf, and we know that Joe Biden lied about having no knowledge of any of this. So all of that is to say, do I know whether Joe Biden is currently compromised by China? No. Do I have a lot of evidence in his China policy suggesting that he's personally getting any kickbacks or is too cozy with China? I don't know. I don't know that that's what they're going to find. What I think will be more interesting is whether Joe Biden was intentionally getting his bills paid by Hunter Biden's insane lobbying fees while he was vice president and after the time he was vice president. That's what I think's on the table.
Which comes from that text message that he sent to, what was it, Ashley, his sister, who said something like, well, you know, at least I won't take half like my dad did, or something
Exactly.
like that. Or maybe, anyway.
It's to his daughter.
You know, to his daughter.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know what would be an amazing move that would force the media to cover this? And here I'm giving more free consulting to the Republican Party.
I love it when you do that.
Get pen and paper out, because this is good stuff. If they go up tomorrow and they're like, you know what? This is a matter of principle to us. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're going to explore the role of Jared Kushner in the Trump administration.
Yeah.
How did Jared Kushner get a $2 billion payout within weeks? How did Steve Mnuchin get hundreds of millions of dollars within weeks of, but forget Steve Mnuchin, that's small potatoes. How did Jared Kushner get $2 billion from Mohammed bin Salman when, as Ken Klippenstein reported over at The Intercept, everybody who looked at his investment proposal was shocked at how shoddy it was. It's like, there's nothing here. And there didn't have to be anything there, because what was there was what he had already delivered and what he was going to deliver in the future. Even Saudi Arabia's investment advisors, not just the ones on Wall Street that laughed out, in Saudi Arabian investment authority advisors were like, this is crazy. This is not a good investment. They got $2 billion anyway. Why? What happened? Like, what? Just let's hold some hearings. Let's call some witnesses. And if you do that, first of all, the media would love that. But second of all, that then forces them to cover the other one. Right. Because now you look like you actually are principled. But if you are only talking about Hunter Biden, when for 4 years you had the Trump family treating the White House as a piggy bank, and you're not going to do any hearings about that, it makes it so easy for the media. And whenever I talk to people on the left about this, like Hunter Biden, they're like, what about Donald Trump Jr.? What about the Trump organization?
Oh, 100%.
And what about Jared Kushner?
It's the same. And again, like, it's easy for you and I to sit here and say this because we're journalists, and a lot of journalists actually, I think, lack curiosity or even awareness that this is happening to the extent that it happens on the left. The Hunter Biden story is as good an example as any. But all that is to say, Republicans have Mitch McConnell as their Senate minority leader, someone who is clearly and just obviously compromised by China. So when Democrats have failed to, have any curiosity. Like, they investigated Trump. They overturned every single rock, throughout the
courts. But they didn't really go into that financial stuff because then that would have been asking questions that might have had difficult answers on their side as well.
On their side, right. Yeah, I would love answers about Jared Kushner. And there are a lot of Republicans who would privately tell you they would love answers about Jared Kushner.
I think that's why the impeachment was over, like, the Ukraine phone call rather than the broad-based corruption.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, yeah, he did do it like 50% worse, but we kind of do it too, just a little bit more delicately.
Lobbying is
more sophisticatedly.
This is the perfect window. Name trading, lobbying is the perfect window into the bipartisan corruption of Washington, D.C. It is absolutely equally 100% as bad on one side as it is on the other. It goes all the way to the top, and it is as bad on one side as it is on the other. There's a fundamental truth about Washington, D.C., because wherever there's money to be made, and there's money to be made with whomever has power, so as long as the American people keep voting for both Republicans and Democrats at roughly 50%, there's going to be a lot of money going to one side or the other. So I agree with you, Ryan. I think it would be great if they wanted to look into Jared Kushner, but they are so deeply tied right now to Trump. They don't want to offend Trump voters. They don't want to poke and prod.
Trump voters don't like Kushner, do they?
No, actually, they really don't. But Donald Trump would be pretty upset if congressional Republicans started looking into his son-in-law because that could come back on Ivanka Trump.
I think the big guy might get a little
ways.
more than 10% on that one.
That big guy. I mean, there's so many big guys. It's like we're in casino.
The Democratic big guy selling himself short, probably. Yeah.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Sagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.